How impacted was the Temecula Valley by fire season this year and previous years? That's what we're talking about today, and we're starting right now. Hi, I'm Jessica Genung with Active Realty. If you are new to my channel, welcome. We're so glad that you stopped by. We make a new video every week telling you everything you need to know about living and moving to the Murrieta and Temecula Valley. I have been getting so many calls and comments from folks that are considering moving here about the fires that are raging throughout California. There has been lots of national coverage on the news of the situation. People think that the entire state is burning down. Seriously though, I'm getting a lot of questions about how we are affected. The fire season this year was no problem so far in our area, besides the smoke from the various fires that were far away. But for the entire state of California, it has been the worst wildfire season on record, with fires like the Creek Fire, Bobcat Fire, El Dorado Fire, Glass Fire, Devil Fire, and the Zog Fire, if that's how you pronounce that. We found an article by ProPublica, which is NPR, that gets into the technical details of the fire season severity, the number of fire days, the air quality, and climate change. Here are the areas closest to us here in Southern California from that article with a stat on fire days. North of our area in LA, which is 80 miles from Murrieta, had 12 severe fire days this year. In Mission Viejo, which is in Orange County, which is about 45 miles from Murrieta, there was 12.7 fire days. To the south of our area in Escondido, which is North County, San Diego, about 35 miles from Murrieta, they had 11 fire days. In the city of San Diego, which is 65 miles from Murrieta, they had 12.5 fire days. All of these areas, LA to the north of us and San Diego to the south, had about the same 12 severe fire days. Like I said, this year has been bad and there is a lot of national media coverage about it, but nothing more than the smoky air smell around here. However, last year, around the first week of September in 2019, we did have a fire on the west side of Murrieta, near where I live in Copper Canyon. It was called the Tanaha Fire, and we were in a voluntary evacuation zone. There was a small mandatory evacuation zone and a voluntary area. Authorities believe that the fire was caused by lightning. It started near a community called La Cresta, which is in the northwest corner of Murrieta. La Cresta is a rural area where most folks have about 5 acres or more. There are some beautiful $1 million plus homes, and it is very popular for those who have horses. Right next to La Cresta is an ecological preserve area called the Santa Rosa Plateau, and it is about 10,000 acres. It is great for day hikers and bikers. By bikers, I mean like mountain bikers, not motorcycle riders, because that could start a fire. The preserve is a hidden gem in our area and has over 40 miles of trails, including seasonal waterfalls if you hike deep down in. But it is a very brushy area and certainly has a lot of fuel for a fire, so no dirt biking, seriously. At the peak of the fire, it was almost 2,000 acres big. The schools in the areas closed for several days due to the smoke. About 1,200 people were evacuated. It burned the entire mountain all the way down near the Copper Canyon neighborhood. Luckily, the fire was not particularly quick moving and it wasn't very windy during that time. We live at the edge of the voluntary evacuation area. We were not that worried, but the smoke was pretty bad and we didn't want to get stuck in it if it got too much worse. We did a family fire drill and we went to Grandma and Grandpa's for a night and most of the next day. Amazingly, not a single home was lost. CAL FIRE and many other fire departments from all over California responded. We could see the trucks coming and going with all the different city names on them. They attacked the fire and knocked it out within just about a day or two, it seemed. For a little while, it did feel like a war zone with all the water planes flying low and dropping water and foam on the fire. It was actually extremely awe-inspiring to watch the local firemen and resources go to work to fight the fire. They had about 500 firemen assigned to this fire. There were bulldozers that were out clearing the fire break lines, and they had about 20 aircraft working to put out the fire as well. Some were helicopters, some smaller planes, some were the huge 747s. It was amazing to watch all of the 747s flying over my house super low. They need to get super low so they can drop the retardant more accurately, and they did it with such skill. In my 37 years born and raised in SoCal, that was the only time that I've been directly affected by a local fire. I don't want to scare you with my once in 37 years fire story. It seems to me that Southern California does not have as much of the fire issues that Northern California has been experiencing the last few years here thankfully. But most towns in California do carry some risk of fire. Your mortgage will require you to carry fire insurance as part of your homeowner's insurance policy. No one I know is considering moving away from the area because of the fire danger. I think that is happening in many parts of Northern California and the San Francisco area too. Some of these folks, they have been calling us citing constant smoky air in the area, and they are thinking about moving away from it. Another question I frequently get is, how bad does the smoke get in the Temecula area? At any point, have you had to stay inside due to the toxic air? We don't know of any requirement to stay inside during the toxic air times. When the air is smoky, the general recommendation is not to exercise outdoors. This year, we had a week where it was pretty smoky from some neighboring fires. I'm guessing that it was the fire that was in Yucaipa, which is not that close, but smoke can certainly drift. Normally, smoke from other fires in SoCal clears our area within a few days. The last question I get frequently is, have I experienced any mandatory evacuation orders? As I mentioned already about the Tinaja fire that we voluntarily evacuated for, that makes one voluntary evacuation in the 11 years we've been in Murrieta. My folks, which live in Fallbrook, and that is the town that is to the south of Temecula, they have evacuated twice in about the 40 years they've been there. No fire came close, it was just a precaution as well. Fallbrook, by the way, is a much more rural area than Temecula and Murrieta and has considerably higher fire danger in my opinion. With all that being said, I do not lose any sleep over the potential fire danger in our area. You will want to have fire insurance, of course, like we mentioned, and your mortgage company will likely require it. A topic for another video is going to be fire insurance premiums. Most neighborhoods in our area are not considered high fire risk, and therefore the home insurance premiums are pretty reasonable. Normally, they're about $100 a month. But in certain areas on larger lots, and if they are up against like a brushy hillside and open areas such as La Cresta that we talked about earlier, they can have very high fire insurance premiums. I have heard even as high as $10,000 a year or more. Your knowledgeable and experienced agent can help you research the insurance premiums for homes that you are considering. That covers most of the fire-related questions that we get. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.